Good Wednesday to you, everybody. Incom 785. Welcome to week Boom 9. How's everybody doing? You doing all right? Yeah. Hanging in there. Now we've passed the halfway point. It's sort of this sort of thing. But take heart and take proper measures. Delicious. Much better. Now I'm your sufficiently caffeinated communication instructor with Great Smoky Mountains. You've seen this cup before, and you've heard me extol the wonders of that national park. And if you've never been, it is the most visited among national parks. I think because of its proximity to large cities like Atlanta and Chicago, and I think probably some other cities in Kentucky, Tennessee, Nashville, stuff like that. Not a really giant, not a super population center, but you get the point. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful area of the country. And if you can't see it, you start looking at my shirt and it's like, it's again, one of the stock standard t-shirts in the Dad t-shirt summer series. And the shirt reads, let's just bend the camera down. This is not a drill, a little play on words and image. But also, let me readjust that. It's a reminder that there's no dress rehearsal in life. This is it, folks, for good or bad, success or failure, expensive or inexpensive, in this case, fountain pen. This was made by a local artisan, and I think this is like some sort of a composite fiberglass, much like someone tried to make a submarine out of. Don't do that. Okay, let's take a look at the material for this week. And then in the next video that you'll see posted in the content folder, I'll review your material from last week. First things first, thanks to those that showed up for the Google Meet call on Sunday to go over the midterm exam. Now, I set the exam up, and I think I checked all the boxes and flipped all the switches that you should be able to see all of the answers, the correct ones, if you didn't get the answer, the question correct. If you can't, email me. So, I don't see anything. And I'll go back in there and, I don't know, beat it with a mallet or something, kick the tires and figure out why you're not able to see it. Because again, one of the things that I'm not asking you to figure out in this class is what I'm asking you to figure out. I'm going to tell you what we're looking for. Okay. So for those of you that did attend, thank you. For those of you that did not, what we did during, about an hour and a half is I went through all of the questions. I gave out all of the answers. I gave an explanation for the answers. I even gave some explanations for some of the wrong answers that I threw in there. And no, I'm not trying to trick you, but yes, some of the answers I put in there and named them in such a way. I mean, some of the names I just absolutely made up. And I named them in such a way that they sounded close to what might be a right answer, but they were not. Okay. I heard something like that the other day. Someone was trying to say that they were frustrated and exacerbated, and it was something like feracerated or something. It was very weird when they said it. Whatever. Or one of my brothers, I won't say which because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but when he's telling a story and he wants to say, and then, the person went on and on and on. Mistakenly, he's not doing this on purpose. And I've never had the heart to correct him because he's my brother and I love him. Instead of, saying, and then the person said, blah, 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 which is correct. B-L-A-H, blah, meaning blah, blah, blah. He'll say blase, blase, which is not correct because blase, although, it can be used to describe someone's speech, blase means it's boring. It's a French word. It's pedestrian. What do we mean by pedestrian? Of a lower class, and that word pedes comes from way back in Western history when there was a distinction between the classes, those who who got from place to place riding a horse, the equestrian class from the Latin word equine, which means horse, and those who had to walk because they couldn't afford a horse. All right, that was my people. We walked everywhere. And the word for feet in Latin is pedes, P-E-D-E-S. So from which we get the word pedestrian or pedal, to both a bicycle and to go out and sell something, because people used to travel by foot and walk from here to there trying to sell their stuff. Pedal. Okay, so pedestrian, blasé. Anyway, so I went through all of that, and for those that weren't able to make it, one of the things that I'd like you to do is especially if there was somebody from your group, that you're working on your project with, ask them about what it was that I said concerning how I would like you to study in future. Now, the final exam, and I'll put a review sheet up. See, where are we? Week 9? Yeah, somewhere around week 10 or 11. The final exam will draw on all material from week 1 all the way through week 15. Well, we don't have any readings in week 15, so week 14, you get the point. Okay. Talk to the people that were there. Find somebody in your group that was able to attend the conference call and ask them, say, okay, what did he say we're looking for? And what I want you to look for is every single one of those questions from the midterm was drawn from the discussion boards, all of them. And so when I give you, some point out of the text, now look, I know you got a lot of stuff flying at you. And in fact, the way to read a book is not to read every single word on every single page. No, I only do that in instances in which I'm reading the work for the love of reading the work. I mean, if it's just so well written, I think I'm carrying a copy around with me somewhere. My read through War and Peace, I'm reading every word. Okay. Would I need to read every word to get, and stay with the story? No. So when you're reading for work, unless you're so enraptured with the prose of the author, I mean, Cialdini's, he's good, but he's no Tolstoy, or Tolstoy translate, because I don't read any Russian. Okay, you don't have to read the whole thing. So look for the section, the page, the paragraph from whence the answer to the Blackboard question is to be found, and then read about a page, half a page maybe before and after that, and become really familiar with the topic, the concept, the theory, the chart, whatever is contained within that space. All right. And that's what by way of economy, that's what you ought to be doing in order to focus down on the material. Okay. Because we're busy. And that's how you read a book. You don't have to read through every word on every page. In fact, you just don't do that. Okay. So anyway, ask somebody that's in your group, and they'll give you the full discussion. Or if you still have any lingering questions, bring during my office hour. I can't go through the whole review with you, obviously, but I'll tell you, the high points. And most importantly, if you have any questions about any of the questions on the tests, whether you got them right or wrong, and you want to go, why is this and why is that? Office hours will take care of it. Okay, let's take a look at the material for this week. All right, so light read for this week. You're going to focus in entirely on Cialdini, okay? And in fact, you're going to start over on page 173. I want to, how can I put this? I'm not bowled over. I'm not entirely thrilled with the examples that Cialdini uses to illustrate the point of the social aspect of social media. All right. I mean, you're going to read, he goes on at length about, some of these, like, say, the previous chapter, in which he goes through those 6 fundamental elements of persuasion. And again, if you only had time for one section of his 2 books, that's the section. All right. That is the chapter. If you could only, if you were in a plane and it was going down and you only had time to read, a little bit. And I suppose, why would you need persuasion tactics if you were in a plane about to crash? I don't know. Sorry. Anyway, chapter 10 in Cialdini, where he just pulls all his work together. Okay. Here he's doing a similar thing. He's saying, okay, social media is social. We're social beings. And here are some of the main elements that drive us together as social beings. So he talks about kinship. He talks about locality, that is proximity to one another. Okay, place. You will hear him discuss region, that is points of origin. All right. Now he's going to use. I think these are rather complicated examples, in my opinion, to take the motives of someone, say during the Holocaust, as to why they chose to act. Excuse me, to save people that were going to be shipped off to the concentration camps. And in this case, he looks at a Japanese foreign minister who was stationed in Europe, whose story is it is a fascinating and very human story, who managed to see to the saving of more people than the more famous person, or made famous by the movie, Oscar Schindler, by providing them with visa documents to get out of Europe and to travel to Japan, or, interestingly, to areas in China that Japan had conquered, and most brutally. What the Japanese did on mainland China is the stuff of just your worst nightmares. Okay, that doesn't cast shade on the diplomat, but that's where he sends them. All right, anyway, I don't know that I like those examples because that's extremely complicated. There's a lot that goes in to taking a step that dramatic. But those are the examples that he uses. What I would like you to do, however, is look at these major points. Place of origin, similarity, between us. All right. And I'm asking you in the discussion board that the questions are focused around, can these things, or how can these things be translated into social media? So you'll notice in the discussion questions, there are a number of them that begin "in your informed opinion." What does that mean? I don't mean just, shoot off the top of your head. I want you to have something that backs up what you say. Okay? So, for instance, in the first question for the Blackboard discussion for this week's readings, does the United Force of Region apply in a social media environment? Briefly explain and discuss your answer. If you say yes, I want some documentation. All right? If you say no, I want some documentation from you. Okay? And then bring that to everybody. So I'm looking for that. All right? So because, we are concerned with, in this unit, marketing through social media, this is the question. Do these elements, sort of face-to-face elements of socialness, apply to social media? This is in part a loaded question, because social media is not merely successful because it allows, outlandish behavior, anonymity, and an endless stream of cat videos. Lord help us. It's tapping into something very fundamental in our human nature, our social nature. Okay, so that's where it's one chapter. Okay, so I've made the readings short, because when I say "in your informed opinion," I want you to justify with a source or sources what it is that you say. Okay? All right, everybody, that's it for this video. Keeping it short for the material this week. Be sure to pop on over to the other video in which I discuss the readings and your answers to the readings from week 8. All right, everybody, Have a blessed. Oh, and I hope you had a wonderful and blessed 4th of July. Sorry, this is why it wasn't posted yesterday, because like smack, I forgot it's 4th of July. Everything is closed. I was off. I spent time with my family, but my wife has got a terrible summer cold, so it was not. It was a a less than bueno 4th of July for the whole Gardner household. But anyway, but I hope for everybody else. All right, and for those of you in the class that served our nation or are currently serving, and I have a son in the Army, so I want to thank you profoundly. Because look, whether you're called to action during your service, whether that's present or past, not relevant. I know firsthand, because although I did not serve, I see this in my son, that there are sacrifices that are made all the time to maintain that readiness. All right, and I deeply appreciate it. So, belated 4th of July, thank you to everyone for your service. God bless, and I'll see you on Blackboard. Bye-bye.